So
can we quickly pause? The word maintainable, I want to talk about that because what I've found is that when you're talking low code, the pro coders always raise maintainability, and everybody tends to just say, okay, the pro coders win. And to my mind, I'm going to be really controversial for a second. To my mind, maintainability is the make America great again of our world, because it means whatever you want it to mean, right? If you're a low coder like me, maintainable means I can't do pro code, so I can do it in low code. To a pro dev, it means 3 lines of C# is easier than going through all of this in Power Automate or a low code plugin. So what's the best way to define and think about maintainability?
yeah, I guess we could take it from here. It might be a cooler angle anyways, is
Yeah.
when you say pro coders say the maintainability is easier, how do they argue that?
Yeah, so it generally comes down to, we could do this in Power Automate, we could do this in Power FX, we could, what have you. And the pro coders, the argument is almost always, it's 3 lines of C#. Now, I have no way of knowing whether that's true or not. It might be, it might not be. I have learned enough over the last year or so that 3 lines of C# means you've got to write the C#, compile the C#, and then run the C#. So whereas you just kind of do it in Power FX and Power Automate. But yeah, that's usually the argument is it's a lot less code than the low code option.
Right. So that takes the presumption that less code means easier to maintain.
Correct.
There are other aspects to maintainability, which is, does your team have access to it?
Yeah.
You just identified 3 giant maintenance hoops. You have to run the code, you have to compile it, and then you have to deploy it. So in the low code plugin, you got the plugin registration tool, you got to have C# running locally, and you have to be able to debug it locally. So you have to connect into the running instance of your Dataverse environment. That to me isn't more maintainable. Like, yeah, the 3 lines of C# code, sure. And we could just argue that piece, but going back to it, or I send you a Power Automate link, you do it right there, click save, and it is already deployed and done for you. You could do all that on the most unperformant laptop. You could do that on your phone. So
yeah, that's an interesting take on it. I like that, because I usually find myself totally flat-footed. The pro devs are like, maintainability, 3 lines of C#, and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty hard to argue with that. And even though my approach is always lead with low code, because it just makes life easier in the long run. So
for sure. They also, I'm curious how many pro coders tell you that who are also heavily involved in low code. I'm curious if would Scott Duro agree with that? Because there's also the area of if your plugin, if your flow is failing and you got to go check, you're jumping into the trace logs, you're going into a whole different area and looking at it, versus Power Automate, you just got that nice step-by-step.